Hello, Leslie. I wrote my paper on teacher burnout and retention rates. Um, Teacher burnout and retention is obviously became a huge issue over time across Wisconsin and further across the nation. My presentation is going to analyze the issue through a structural, governance, cultural, financial, change, and communications lens while proposing leadership actions that can improve teacher retention. My reason for getting into this topic, I work with two, or did work with two, second year teachers, who both after this year decided they were going to further a career, in a totally different workforce realm. And it kind of got me curious of why would they do that after their second year teaching? What's causing this? Why is this happening? Um, and I decided to do this obviously because I want to be better prepared as a future leader, to have these conversations and understand what some of my teachers may be going through, and how I could possibly make sure that they're enjoying their job as an educator, and giving them the resources and support to make this career a sustainable one. Um, the first thing I'm going to look at is the problem. Um, One, growing teacher shortages are happening all across. Increased workload and expectations of our teachers, behavioral and academic student needs are rising, compensation concerns after Act 10, and then higher turnover impacts also cause issues or impacts our students. Um, Teacher burnout isn't obviously caused by just one thing. Teachers are facing increasing demands from student behaviors, academic gaps, mental health needs, public pressure, and workload. These factors contribute to more educators leaving the profession in general. I put a few facts down within my paper to support these, or a few of these. And the first one has to do with compensation. Teachers earn only 73.4 cents for every dollar earned by a similar professional or profession. Um, this is in comparison to the 93 cents they had made in the early 2000s. But clearly, they aren't making nearly as much as someone else who is or in a profession or workforce that has the same obligations they do to attain a degree. So making considerably less. 58% of the schools reported increased student mental health and service needs. So obviously the student needs are becoming higher as well, which is causing more stress on teachers, with the expectations that are being asked of them for these reasons as well. Um, Structural analysis. So how school is organized. So school has a school board. A school board employs their superintendent, and then that superintendent has principals and teachers that help run their schools. Around that is just some of those issues that teachers are coming across, right? Teachers are having or asked to do multiple jobs or have multiple responsibilities. Our students have increased student needs, so we're having to adjust to meet those. Teacher shortages, obviously, just in general, we're continuing to lack teachers, so we're taking on more responsibility. And then limited planning time throughout the day, which is causing us as teachers to have to do more work outside of our hours. Um, Teacher burnout obviously is partially caused by how our schools are structured. Teachers are expected, like I said, to teach while also coaching, mentoring, supervising events, serving on committees, and completing other tasks that are asked of them. Um, this is causing fewer people to enter the profession, and causing existing teachers to absorb more responsibilities or take on more responsibilities over time. A fact to kind of back that up, nearly 60% of our teachers take on additional responsibilities beyond just their teaching job. So there's some of those jobs that I had said, or responsibilities I had said prior, but over half of our teachers have more than just that, their teaching responsibility. And over the past 10 years, teacher preparation enrollment has fell from 880,000 to 591,000, which is a crazy number. I mean, almost 300,000 people or students at the time are were down, in comparison to what we're going through the teacher enrollment process. which is a crazy number because obviously that shrinks our job field and the applicants that we have to fill these positions. Looking at structural analysis a little further, so now, but more in a school day structure. So from a day-to-day basis as a teacher, many teachers have talked about the insufficient planning time that they have, the frequent interruptions they continue to have, the work outside of contract hours that has to be done, and growing behavioral demands. Um, the structure of the school day often forces teachers to work evenings and weekends, planning, grading, and communicating, as well as paperwork that cannot be completed during their contract hours due to time. This is obviously causing overall stress and then contributing to that burnout that we may be seeing as well. A few facts I have within my paper to support this. 84% of teachers report not having enough time during the school day to complete required tasks. That's 8 to 9 out of 10 teachers in our schools that are feeling as if they do not have the proper time within their workday to complete work or prepare for their students or whatever that may be. And then 80% of school leaders report student behavioral development continues to be negatively impacted by the pandemic. So students who came back from the pandemic, 80% of the school leaders around the nation have reported that these behaviors have been negatively impacted since the pandemic, which is obviously those needs that we have to then meet. So pretty crazy stuff. Governance and policy analysis. So roles of the school board: set district policies, approve budgets, hire superintendents, and establish district priorities. Some of those roles: evaluation, requirement, professional development, and expectations. Those are some of those things that have to be followed through with in the school walls. Accountability measures, and then Act 10 impacts we'll get to as well within that paper. School boards obviously influence working conditions through policy and budgeting decisions. Although they cannot solve statewide issues alone, they can prioritize teacher support and retention efforts while staying outside of the day-to-day operation, which is key there. One of the key facts I have in my paper is teacher pay gap reached 26.6% compared to similar college graduates. So obviously that gap between people who are getting the same type of degrees or 4-year degrees and going into a different workforce, and the gap between our pay as teachers and to a lot of those 4-year degree jobs that are making more, the compensation is higher. So cultural and equity analysis. So who is impacted? In my paper, I talked about the teachers, how they're impacted, the students, families, and administrators. Those equity concerns being students with disabilities, students with behavioral needs, students experiencing poverty, students needing additional support. Teacher burnout is not only a staffing issue, it's obviously an equity issue in general. Students with the highest needs often experience the greatest impact when schools struggle to retain effective teachers. Overall, obviously, I talk about this a lot in my paper, teacher turnover creates inconsistent support and weaker relationships, which it causes issues within your overall structure of your school as well. Culture matters. So positive school culture reduces burnout. Feeling valued, administrative support, teacher voice, and strong relationships. Leadership matters so much. Teachers who feel respected, heard, and supported are significantly more likely to stay in the profession. Culture is one area where school leaders have tremendous influence. Research shows, and what I put in my paper, respect from administrators is one of the strongest predictors of teacher retention. Somewhere where teachers feel these 4 things, they are more willing to come back. They love their job. They want to be there. They want to work for that person. So promoting and being a great leader, promoting all of these things is going to help retain your teachers and help them enjoy and keep that burnout rate low and retain more of your teachers. From a finance and resource analysis, or from this side of things that I wrote about within my paper, potential investments what we can do more as a leader to help with this ongoing issue. Um, Apply more or add additional paraprofessionals, more behavioral support staff, instructional coaches, and keep in or plan in protected planning time for your teachers. Trade-offs, obviously less funding elsewhere if we are able to do these additional investments. Um, there's budget limitations that hold us back from some of these things, and there's state funding constraints. Obviously, there is not a ton of money that is involved in our budgets to be able to support a positive school and a successful school. So adding some of these things might be kind of at the bottom of that priority list. So a lot of that money might be used up. But it is important that we or could um, add some of these things because, in all honesty, we're not able to directly increase salaries because obviously compensation would be a nice increase to solving some of these problems that we may have. But some of these investments in terms of what we could add to support our teachers may be even more impactful. All right, so our initial considerations. Step one: listen and gather data. Um, Surveys, staff meetings, retention data. Step two: quick wins, reduce meetings, um, increase prep time, remove low impact duties, and long term improvements. Teacher voice, behavioral support, workload review. All of these things being obviously super important in terms of how we can make change within the school walls. Um, Obviously, as a leader, change begins with listening. Um, Leaders must understand why our burnout exists before implementing solutions. These quick wins I talked about obviously build trust, while long term they're changing and creating sustainability. Um, so the surveys and the staff meetings and retention data, all that stuff is going to help us and inform us. Those quick wins with like our reducing the meeting times, increasing and giving more time, and taking away some of those low impact duties that'll help right away. And then those long term improvements are those cultural habits that we talked about that will help change the overall culture of the school and make things a little bit more sustainable for our teachers. Communication plan. So stakeholders, school boards, teachers, families, and students, those are the people that are involved. Our communication goals: we want to be transparent, collaborate, complete, and have consistency, and then celebrate all the progress that we are seeing. Each stakeholder group needs a different message, but all communication should reinforce that teacher well-being directly impacts student success. When we take care of our teachers, our students are going to benefit, and we need to make sure people understand and know that. Conclusion. So my conclusion: teacher burnout is definitely a complex issue due to these major factors of compensation, workload, student needs, staffing shortages, and school culture. And our leadership solution is to support teachers, reduce unnecessary workload, increase teacher voice, and build a culture where educators feel valued. Um, when teachers thrive, our students thrive, kind of like I said on our last slide. And while local leaders cannot solve every challenge facing education, they can create environments where teachers feel supported and valued. Improving retention ultimately benefits our students, our staff, and the entire community. So the more we can as leaders, and myself as a leader, can value and take care of our teachers, the more our school is going to benefit. And showing that you're willing to support and do whatever need be to make sure that your teachers feel supported and are comfortable, and to listen to them is so important. To have the best culture and the best school atmosphere and environment that is going to better your students. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this slide and the paper that I wrote.